Good afternoon, dear colleagues. We begin our roundtable on Russian fish, expansion on the domestic market and increased consumption of Russian fish within the country. I'm happy to see the full room, and it means that this issue is of interest to you. We've got a nice plenary of speakers today, and we will have a rather limited time frame. I would like to spend some time to answer a few questions in the end of our discussion to make it more interactive. Today, we have the following speakers with us: Vladimir Solodov, Governor of the Kamchatka region; Vasily Sokolov, Deputy Head of the Federal Agency for Fisheries; Denis Kosternoy, Deputy Head of the Department of Commerce and Service of the Government of Moscow; Igor Karavayev, Chairman of Accord; Sergei Lobanov, Deputy Head of Department at the Ministry of Trade; Anton Kukanov, Deputy Head of the Russian Quality System; Andrei Dalnov, Head of the Center for Industry Expertise at the Russian Agricultural Bank; and Leonid Ardalionov, Director for Analytics at NTech Research Company. I hope that today's discussion will be of interest to you, in line with the representative panel we have with us today. Okay, let's do it. According to FAO, the production of aquatic biological resources has decreased by 2 million tons in the past 10 years and is stagnating. This means that resources of the world ocean are not unlimited, and we do not have lots of reserves left. At the same time, the volumes of aquaculture are growing. In the past 10 years, it has increased by 25%. It is an important driver of the supply side on the market. The population of the world is growing much faster than the supply of fish and fish products. All this puts challenges to the balance of quality and price at the world market. Russia is part of the world business, despite the sanctions, and we have to compete for aquatic resources in the world market with our money, and it's not so easy given the context. We, as an industrial community and the part of the supply chain, have to find the most efficient solutions to offer quality products to the Russian population at accessible prices, affordable prices, and to position ourselves at the global market and promote Russian fish on the global market with high quality, affordable products, and therefore boosting our image in the eyes of the world community. We won't go into more detail, given the panel that we have. I would like to ask our speakers to stay within the 7-minute limit so that we can have some time for the discussion. First, I would like to give the floor of the representative of the regulator, Vasily. The B2C segment is not subject of regulation at the Federal Fisheries Service. At the same time, the service pays a lot of attention to internal consumption, export, import, is monitoring prices of the market. How do you see the general picture of the saturation of the internal market? What are the issues that you are discussing behind the scenes, if you can reveal those? Of course, the floor is yours. Thank you, Alexander. Good afternoon. 7 minutes for discussing the increase in the consumption is not enough, because everyone in the country knows everything about football and about fish. And there are as many approaches as there are people in the country. And many journalists and other citizens used to ask, where do you get the fish? Now they ask, where do you get affordable fish? And this is the key element. Today we had some figures at the plenary session. The ministry and the head of the service have told us that the 5 million tons is the catch for this year, and we do have the resources. We only need the opportunities. Again, 5 million tons of catch is the figure. Is it good or bad? I'd say it is good. We are part of the top 5. Of course, China is the leader here, but we're still okay. But in terms of food security, we are doing quite well. At the same time, the consumption is not very big, to put it mildly. Again, as compared to other countries, we are quite okay. The USA are lagging far behind Russia in terms of consumption, but again, we are not catching up with the 28 kilogram per person per year, which used to be the norm back in the Soviet times. As compared to pasta and vegetables, it's not so lot. And doctors would say that it's good to get fish twice per week. It's enough to get the 22 kilos of fish per year. Now this standard is taken from the fish itself, not from fish products, whilst in the Soviet Union they used to calculate these metrics based on what was actually consumed, not based on the weight of fish, actual fish. Looking at the actual balance that we have right now in the country, 4 million tons of products is being produced. 1.2 million tons are exported, and around 400,000 to 600,000 tons are imported. Again, 4 minus 1.5 is what is left in the internal market, but this excludes amateur fishing, which also plays an important role that is not to be underestimated. Many regions of our country still account for a big share of amateur fishing. On the one hand, we do have the fish. On the other hand, we do not have it as often as we would like to have it. There have been a number of research in the past few years. My personal view is that the NAFI survey is very good. They showed who is buying what and how much. Again, buying, not eating. Ironically, the far east of Russia is lagging behind, whilst the central federal district and the southern federal district are among the biggest buyers. Again, in the far east of Russia, people may get fish from amateur fishing, or probably get it in the market if it doesn't make part of the statistics. Again, in terms of purchasing, people who can afford fish, 60 or 70% of those people are affluent people, and they are the consumers of the fish products, and that's the problem. Back in the Soviet times, we were used to cheap fish. It used to be much cheaper than meat, even chicken, back in the Soviet times, because the government had been subsidizing the fishing industry. For each kilogram of haddock, over half of the money was going from the federal budget. And the fishermen were not spending too much on petrol and gas. Currently, there are not many subsidies in the industry. There are a few tools, there are quotas and benefits, but there are no direct subsidies. Aquaculture is being subsidized, but not again, it's not too much. So this industry has enough raw material. It is efficient because it doesn't need money from the government, and efficient in terms of penetrating the markets well. We do have some difficulties with exports, but we had some figures today. In dollar terms, exports have been growing for several years now. It means that there is no global problem here, but at the same time, the internal market is suffering. We have a national project focused on exports. There are targets to be met, and they are met, but there is no national project on providing affordable fish for the domestic market. Again, looking at the research that have been done in the past years, low-income households and young people are the ones who are suffering, because many of the youngsters cannot find a good job right away. They need to save money, and their mentality is changing. Young people do not want to cut fish, to boil heads, etc. All the things that the older generation is used to, and this is making an impact. We need to take into account. 90% of our population do want to eat fish. They know it's useful. Most of them think it's delicious, but again, it's not affordable enough. And that's where we need to focus. First, making it accessible in terms of cooking, making it easy to cook, otherwise the youngsters would not have anything to do with that. And even women who work from home do not want to spend time in the kitchen cutting and processing the fish. We need to have a competitive product that will be easy to cook, and it has to be delicious. Second is the price. As far as the price is concerned, there is this question as to why fish is so expensive. It is expensive in the whole of the world. The cost of producing a kilo of fish are rather high because the price for petrol is going up. COVID and sanctions make equipment more expensive. For a number of reasons, we have imported equipment here. Logistics costs are also growing, again because of the fuel costs. Taxes have been increased. All the investment that have been covered by the Russian Agricultural Bank today, again, they all go into the cost of fish. And we have to realize that. And we also have the market that doesn't want to take into account the initial price for the initial costs for the fishermen. The approach has not changed. 30 to 40% of costs are the price put by the fishermen. Again, they do not have a big share in the price of the finished product. If we want to boost consumption, we need to look at the international experience. Apart from, with the exception of the Soviet Union, who used to subsidize fish, we do need to help the low-income households. Probably those who are now part of the military operation, they need to get support. digitalization helps us have the full list of low-income people, either from Sbermarket or Ozon or another IT company. Again, an interesting thing, e-commerce of fish is almost non-existent. And it is an interesting solution for the government in order to provide support to the low-income population. Moscow is one of the more affluent regions. But again, fishermen would be happy to take part here. I think Moscow is a good place to start experimenting. Considering the rather high digitalization rate, it would be an interesting experiment trying to provide quality fish for low-income households.
Thanks. And we are discussing a lot on how to make the Russian fish more affordable. And I would like to put this word away, how to make this fish affordable to those populations who unfortunately mass segment with which we can, boost this consumption. We will not use such terms as low income, okay? We need to promote fish in the segment if we want to move further for people who can afford it, who can eat in restaurants. But fish actually is eaten by people even more, and this exceeds the norms. We have representatives of Ministry of Trade. This is not the ministry responsible for the consumption of the fish in the country, but nevertheless, this is a federal authority regulating retail, the counter, and this regulation actually impacts the consumption of the fish in the country. In the ministry, they focus a lot on this issue. They work a lot on the program that we shall discuss later on. And now a few words to Mr. Sergey. Thank you, dear colleagues, dear friends. Hello. Actually, I'm not given to provide you with a substantial report, but I would like to be someone who will speak before Anton, and I would like to share my opinion on how we can promote fish and fish products. We are at the fishery, at the Fish Product Forum, and we speak a lot about this, but I would like to say some words about wine. Together with the Ministry of Agriculture, starting from 2017, we make a promotion selling at the supermarkets to boost sales and to improve the naming or the naming or the image of Russian wines. Together with experts, we choose the brand list, give it to restaurants. We have 1,700 SKUs, and at these sales, the wine consumption grows up to 25%. In 2018, when we were starting with the Russian wine, we started with negative positions. A wide consumer had a stereotype that the Russian wine cannot be of a good quality. What we see now at the networks, another attitude to the wine. We have a holistic approach. We are doing some promotion sales in restaurants, not only in the supermarkets. There is a wine guide explaining which vineyard has what wine they have. This is supported by Roskачество, and we have wine fairies and wine expos. Wine was prohibited to be sold in such fairies, but last year we had 4 fairies and now more than a dozen. So what we achieved last year, and it actually went together with other problems. There was a deficit, or winemakers couldn't find enough of wine to sell it. So you see what was the great demand of the wine, and this is a patriotic kind of thing. The expert says that in networks, so we sell 68% of champagne wines, and we have also dry wines and others. Anton will speak about the idea of our algorithms and mechanisms that we elaborated on the wine level, so we would like to apply them to the fish. So I'm done, and let's go and see what we have done together with the Russian Quality Authority, Roskачество. Dear colleagues, the governor of the Kamchatka region should leave us earlier, so I need to change the order of speakers. And Vladimir, you have the floor. Thank you, dear colleagues, dear Alexander. Excuse me for having my speech now. You know, I don't want to lose a plane to Kamchatka. Actually, they are rare. They have rare flights to this region, and the priority, one of the most important, is to search for new channels of sales. Second is the people to prepare experts and professionals to this industry. Not many things to add. Vladimir has said a lot, but I'd like to put 2 or 3 questions as an idea, and then to provide you with my answers or with my ideas. The first one, whether we need to eat more fish, whether this is the aim in itself. We can answer yes, but to my mind, we need to have a detailed explanation. In this room, it is very clear to all of you, but maybe it is not that evident to the mass population. So to explain that we need to eat more fish and this is beneficial for your health, this is very important topic. The second thing, whether it is beneficial and nice to eat the aquaculture and the wild fish. It is evident, but still it is not that evident. We had some informal discussions today for those who are interacting with supermarkets, and some say that aquacultural fish is more tasty, and the consumer chooses the aquaculture. They're ready to pay for it. It looks well, it looks better, and the taste is more convenient. And the wild fish is not that good looking, but actually it is more beneficial, more useful. So, this is the problem that we need to resolve, because having the idea to support the basis of the industry, we shall not forget about the idea of the aquaculture, of its benefits, but actually there is the point about the population health. Third point, whether there is a conflict between the fish exportation and delivery to the internal market. Clearly not. We catch 5 million tons, so we can actually have an abundant reserve to feed the country, prices apart. Moreover, we can make this export more of a better quality and to have the better effect. The link to the exportation gives the problem with the price turbulence, because the exported good, it is turbulent from the price standpoint. So the consumer, they refuse, they reject it, while there is the currency shift. And thus, there is a problem about the price and the quality. And when the price of cod is changing during the year, twice per year, so it is reflected on the, shelf price on the counter. So there should be some kind of smoothing. Do we have a product that is actually expected by people? It was said, but I'd like to make an emphasis here. No. People want to have a very modern, tasty product that does not smell like a fish, so to say. If we ask young people, why don't they like fish? Yeah, they say, because it smells like a fish. Fish should be very trendy, very, very nice, very good looking. A trend, there should be a trend launched. Sushi actually got this trendy spirits. So it is an exotic kind of fish product, not unusual to us, but actually it is well implemented. So, as far as the fish consumption is concerned, in this context, it is very important. So we need to focus this support here. And last thing, whether fish is costly. It is costly from one hand, and from the other hand, it is not. It was rightly said that the main contribution to the fish, it is not the fish itself, but this is the lack of efficient system of logistics, of network distribution. And elaborating this question is a priority. So my version would be as following. What shall we do? We need to provide a long-term state program to promote fish consumption inside the country, and it shall consist of 4 pillars. State order as a driver of demand, then production of the final product with the ultra processing. We need to have this focus of support to put this emphasis here, not to distribute it throughout the whole problems, but to make it more concentrated, to make it low marginal, in the low marginal segment. Third, logistics. We need to resolve the problem with the logistics to the network. And last point, to have the long-term investment company. It should be not for 1-2 years, but there should be a long-term story, including restaurants. And a good point about the wine: person will go to the restaurant, then he or she will come and go and buy it in the supermarket. And the last point, it was a great comparison with the wine, but I guess that there is a slight difference with the wine. There are many differences, actually. It is not only because red or white, but the difference is that fish has a very wide range of the quality, especially when we are speaking about products of a fillet or some other parts. So the price difference is huge. So, the standardization issue and the coming to the product that should have a one unique standard, not only why you choose cod or some other fish of this fishery domain, terroir or something. It sounds like a fiction, but still we can work on this. There is Caviar, I will not name the brand, and they are perceived with a price bonus.
And the loyalty of consumers as well. Thank you. Vladimir, thank you so much. Kamchatka region is the cornerstone of the cradle of fish industry, and the government is paying a lot of attention to the fish promotion. And there has to be some federal program for promoting fish products that would be supported by the government, because there's no single company or a single industry association that can be made responsible for this to make it long-term, like a program for promoting fish consumption. Again, first steps have been made, including with support from the federal government. About the link between fish and wine, we are not promoting alcohol. We are talking about a product that can be added to fish, because quality of life is joy of life. Not many people can afford this set of fish and wine, but if we are promoting fish, we are doing that. And I would like to give the floor to Anton Kukanov now. Thank you very much. A lot has been told about the comparison with wine and statistics as a whole. I won't dwell on the figures that we have here, Vasily has already mentioned that the consumption has been decreasing, and there are a number of reasons that are quite understandable. Those include the price that drives a decrease in consumption, and the growing cost of fish make meat and chicken more competitive than fish, and that they would grow or stay about the same, whilst fish is underperforming. The factors for a drop in the demand are as follows. Together with our colleagues from the Fish Union Accord Fishery Service, we see among those factors low quality of fish in the mass segment that was confirmed by a research. The recipes are being changed and not followed. Cheaper fish is used to make preserves, and there are too much additives. Again, those are very important things. Third is lack of awareness among the consumers. The older generation that used to live back in the Soviet times, they still remember that fish is good and has to be eaten. Young people do not know that, and their maximum is sushi or rolls, things like that. And the Soviet model of fish eating is replaced by another pattern that is more characteristic of young people. And they do not know about many great dishes that can be made of fish and that can be easily cooked. The fourth factor is the decrease in time people want to spend cooking. Young people do not want to spend time cutting fish, cleaning it, and they would prefer simpler categories of food. The norm of consumption has been increased this year. There are indirect metrics that do not cover all the aspects of fish consumption, but again, then they can give us some information about this underperformance in terms of consuming the right amount of fish per person per year. One of the reasons is that a big part of the fish is exported, but there are other reasons as well. Boosting consumption of fish has several aspects. First is raising awareness, making people understand that they have to eat fish, telling them what dishes they can make and how to make them. So what we need are long-term awareness-raising campaigns. Back in the Soviet times, cheaper fish was considered to be cat food, but we had the Fish Week in Moscow, and we have seen that this fish can be cooked in a number of ways that is very interesting even for the young people. There can be several aspects such as offline promotion in restaurants, TV, gastronomic tourism, then online promotion that is super important for the young people because they spend their time watching bloggers and surfing the internet. Our own consumer portal, social media, and research of the quality of fish and telling people how to choose quality fish. The project is itself run 2 pilot weeks, one for herring, the other one for pollock. Next year we are planning 9 such fish weeks. The All Russia Fish Week is concerned with mass promotion and awareness raising, and the other one is influencing the price. During fish weeks, many supermarket chains introduce discounts on fish. For example, if during the pollock week we have had a discount for pollock in supermarkets, and telling them about the recipes for good food made of this fish, then they see the same dishes in the restaurant. And they can try it there. And all this makes the person understand that many good things may be derived out of humble pollock. And help them make those at home. We have studied international experience, and we want to share it with the population, telling them about how good it is for health. Sergei has already mentioned that we had a good track record of using wine to promote fish. And concluding my talk about the pilot fish weeks, they are part of All Russia Herring Week and other fish weeks. We see a growth in sales by 2 or 9 times. So we are planning to work there and to scale up our experience. Anton, thank you for your presentation. I would like to add that we are indeed actively cooperating in this area and supporting the project, and I call upon all the industry association and distributors, producers, etc., to join us in this support. I am sure we need to get government financing, to get media on our side, including TV, although it is very expensive, but it is good for promotion, so that we can get this support and arrive at a long-term project for promoting fish products in our country. This is the project that is still being developed. We are somewhere in the beginning, and I hope that it is going to be successful. But we are a number of projects that are already underway. The government of Moscow is paying attention to this problem, and we've got a number of case studies supported by the mayor of Moscow, Sergei Sobyanin. At the same time, Moscow is organizing fish weeks, has been organizing them for several years. Another great project is about to be launched. Moscow is also, and I would like to invite Denis Kosternoy to tell us about the projects that are being implemented in Moscow. Thank you, colleagues. I thought you would cover all the projects that we have, but you left me some opportunity to intervene. For 7 years now, we have been holding Fish Week festivals in Moscow. We started with low volume and a small market that went on to grow into one of the most popular festivals in Moscow and even in the whole of the country. For 7 years we have been organizing those festivals. In 2023 we had 26 venues and 2.1 people visited them. 230 tons of fish have been sold. And but sales are not the only thing we're doing. We are trying to involve the whole infrastructure of the city. There are more than 300 restaurants who are offering special menus during the fish weeks. We are experimenting with the corporate styles. And we can now see restaurants with stickers for Fish Weeks, and they have been collecting those stickers by now. Over 4,000 chain stores have taken part in the festival, and they say that sales volume are growing several times because Fish Weeks have been actively promoted in the city, and people know about them. We tried to make fish consumption trendy. It is one of the drivers. No one used to know what sushi is, but now youngsters prefer this type of food. And what we have to do is to make it trendy among young people.
What else do? We actually involve the city environment and we modernize it for many years. And these events are oriented to young people. The culinary masterclasses, the creative seminars. We organize the SAP Regate, more than 600 participants, more than 6 kilometers of walk. And we catch fish at the Moscow River. We select winners. It was very popular, more than 2,000 participants, and a young fisherman with a catch of 1.2 kilos in the Moscow River. So these kind of events and of this scale go in the same vein as the industry develops. And also the tourism development is actively expanding. For nowadays, we have more than 400,000 working posts related with tourism, more than 17 million of tourists in Moscow. Thus, we are generating such kind of events, and this is not only the Moscow culture of consumption, but the consumption culture of everyone coming to the capital of our country. As far as the volumes are concerned, these indicators were set for consumption. They're about 26. They are increasing, but I think that we can reach them. As far as the consumption in Moscow is concerned, it is actually leading. It takes leading positions, 310,000 tons. This is the general volume of consumption, and 260 goes for fish and for seafood, chilled, frozen, and fresh. Some semi-fresh products also. The next point. While we started this project 7 years ago, we made a small market at the Kuznetsky Bridge, about 70 square meters. In 2023, it occupied 900 square meters. So this is a market located at the Revolution Square. It involved more than 100 producers, and these volumes, they are really huge as part of the local promotion. And in some sense, people came in advance to take part in this project and to buy fish products. So we see a great demand, and we see what are achievements. Compared to 2015, when we started, we increased this consumption rate to 36%. Not only due to this week, but also to the to the consumption of the fish on the whole. We have become drivers in the fishing industry, so we would like to share this experience with the regions, and they are actively taking part in this project, and they hold fish seminars, fish fairs also. The accumulated experience is not where we want to stop. We have great achievements, great indicators, but at the last event, together with the Russian Federal Agency for Fishery and the Ministry of Agriculture, the decision was taken by the mayor to create the permanently working fishing market. It should be in the closed building, and it should work all year round. Thus, it should respond to all the consumer requirements from the price standpoint, from the quality standpoint, and from the supplementary functions that it might provide. So, at the end of October, we plan to open at the eastern city district the fishery market. It will be called the Moscow on the Wave. The territory 3,510 square meters near the Moscow road diameter. This will be a very great road accessibility. And it will include not only implementation, but also the food court, and where you can buy fish and cook it. There will be also industrial volumes. We will produce these products. We have purchased all the necessary equipment for vacuuming, for autoclaving, for marinades, for semi-products, semi-finished products, and so a consumer coming to the market can buy a product, cook it at the same time, get the service, and also to buy the semi-finished product as well. So we're dealing with our fishermen to get this product directly with no mediators, and we would like to provide this service to Moskovitz and also to the HoReCa industry. We're discussing this with our colleagues, with Mr. Mironov. It was good. Many attention was paid to the wine, and there will be also a simple company corner, and they promote Russian wine. A small advertising, right? Thank you, Denise, and we invite you at the opening. I'm sorry, there is no room for discussion now, but I will answer your questions for sure after. This is wonderful. Dear colleagues, let's continue. I'm sorry, we need to respect the agenda, and thank you for your respect. We will give you some time for discussion, for questions after, when we're done with the program. Sure, Moscow has 1/6 of population of the country. This is good when there is a Moscow government where they actually promote great things. Unfortunately, they have this concentration of population there, but we'd like to have the more wider representativity in the country, in the regions. But still, thanks to the Moscow government for these efforts. Thanks for promoting our agenda. Yes. And speaking about alcohol, 100 grams, this is our common problem. So let's move to the substantive thing. We have Andrei Dalnov with us. He is from the Analytical Center of Rossельхозbank. You create the main statistical data for the heads of banks, and thus the bank takes strategic decisions. How do you see the situation? Do you see the capacity here? What steps should be taken in the near future, in the middle perspective, to achieve goals for increasing of consumption of fish? You have the floor, please. I will not speak about the analytics, but about the GR. You know, I like to play with something that is not actually, that does not belong to my sphere of work. There are some questions to be raised. Why do we need to increase the fish consumption? First, the consumption fact is actually lagging behind the norm. There are different figures. Actually, in average, 22 kilos is consumed. These are norms of the Ministry of Health, and now it is 28 kilos. So this volume is replaced by meat producers, and now they are taking this part, 6 kilos, maybe it will be 80 kilos per capita with a norm of 64 kilos. So it might seem to be great. Animal protein is consumed on a high level. The meat replaced fish. It is not bad, but there is some point here from the standpoint of the food security. If the basis of the animal protein consumption will be diversified, you know, meat has its own risks. These are living creatures, and you know, there might be some problems, but meat cannot replace a fish for 100% because there are some fat acids, and in current diets in the animal breeding, they are contained in fish products. After, why shall we actually support the fishery and the industry of fish producing? If we take the consumer stomach, we will see there not only wine, and this is not bad because this is the gentrification of the alcohol consumption, many proteins, many vegetable oils, and for these products, the norm is exceeding, actually the fact is exceeding the norm. So these products are over-treated. So on the side of these minerals, instead of vegetable oils, the price, in some cases, it has a very common taste. But in some cases, and in main cases, these products are supported by marketing budgets. So if we will leave things as they are, the structure of consumption will be disrupted. It will be wrong. How can we support consumption, so to say, of the right products? Speaking about the international cooperation, and many words have been said, we can take two models, conditionally speaking, Anglo-Saxon and continental model. In the first case, there is a free market, and promotion of some products is done by commercial organizations. And the second case, where the state plays actively on the food market and interferes directly in all the processes. As an example of the first program, this will be American program of the 15th for NGO, for nutrition with the seafood and fish, and they made a program, Love Your Heart and Eat Fish. It was targeted not only to the final consumer, but nutritionists and heart experts, and they worked all together to scale this program up, to speak with their patients, and that, they need to eat fish to feel good and to keep their heart in a good shape. This coalition coincided with the period when the fish consumption decreased in the USA. So I don't know whether it is a coincidence or not, but actually there are fundamental factors that influence on that programs. But for those periods, the situation with the fish consumption in the States was stabilized, and now it is 23 kilos. 20 kilos per person. And then there is a French program of French Ministry of Agriculture interference through the companies which promote fish locally and having slogans that it is tasty, it is nice. They pay for the promotion companies on the radio at that time, and they send recipes and leaflets, etc. In France, there are about 100 promotion programs on fish and seafood. And the main aim of these programs is to target school children, school pupils, and a true Frenchman knows which kind of seafood they eat in France, what they extract, what they produce.
Concluding my presentation, I look at the international experience without giving any opinions or without insisting on introducing the same thing in Russia. I'd like to say that there is a list of good products, and I believe that fish has the right to be on top of that list, because consumers do want to lead a healthy lifestyle, but everyone has a different opinion of the healthy lifestyle, and it is not uniform. Next, we need to target school children. There is a good experience there in France, where the consumption of fish is very high, and that's why we need to use that experience. We need to subsidize social advertising by the government and probably introduce some limits on advertising specific products for youngsters and school children. An American program for food support is a good thing, and we can try and borrow from that experience, such as chilled meat, seafood, or fish. Russia has not had such programs here because it requires large financing, several billion rubles. But again, if we look at excise duties, that is a good source for financing such social advertising. As we compare norms and actual consumption, we see that we are underperforming, we're not meeting that norm, but it has to be an incentive for action. We need to use a toolkit to influence the target structure of consumption, not just for fish, but other products. Thank you. Thank you, Andrei. I would like to use this opportunity to talk about various promotion programs and about the experience of various countries, but I would like to advertise, so to say, two sessions that are going to take place tomorrow. The one is about the cold chain conference, where we are going to talk about preserving the products in the best possible quality and their delivery to the consumers, and I invite you to take part in that session. I believe it's going to be very interesting and informative. The second one is a presentation by Pollock Producers Association. They are going to present their own program for promoting pollock consumption in Russia. This will be the first global scale project, and I suggest you'd join that project and then extrapolate the knowledge that you've got to your own work. Let's now have a grain of salt with Leonid Ardalionov. He has got a huge presentation that will be shared with all the participants. But for now, I would like to invite him to give the most important highlights in terms of positioning fish products on the shelf. As compared to fish, alternative protein products, we are all competing for consumer money, and this is a difficult struggle. There are things that we need to change, to add, to make a better impression and to earn some extra dough. Please have my presentation on the screen, then I will need a clicker to use it. I will start. I can just show you the figures because you've told all the main things. Salmon is not competing with trout on the market. It is competing on the market for consumer money. Then I will make it the easy way. When you come to the shop, fish is the same thing as pasta, tomatoes, eggs, meat, etc. What we need to struggle to fight for is consumer money. As we created our own invention, which we call the main shelf in the fridge, we use several chains, several categories of products, and then we've seen the trends that are on the market. First, we're not talking about cheap products. This is a fairy tale that has been introduced by chains who are frightened by the coming of hard discount shops, and they want to resolve their own problems at the expense of the consumers. The market does not need cheap products. The groups of fish that have been growing in the consumer spending structure, the cheapest ones are seafood, saltfish, saltfish, sushi, and rolls. These are the cheapest of products that are growing. The ones that are dropping are preserves and frozen fish. We see quite a few categories who have been decreasing in price, but they have not been increasing in consumption. We see pre-cooked meals that are growing rapidly, and the second place is taken by mangoes, which are by no means cheap fruit. Year on year, we see a 15% increase in the consumption of red caviar, not just in Moscow, but in Russia. The category of fine foods that includes the most expensive foods, such as seafood, salted cheese, dry cured sausages, they are growing. It's not just in Moscow, not the most expensive supermarkets. They are growing in discounters, in corner shops. There is a clear trend for buying more expensive food on the market. The groups of products that have many new things are growing faster because people are fed up with all in the same things. They want something interesting. What are the new things in the fish industry? As you get the presentations, have a look at the slides. The new things, the fastest growing category of products are power drinks. They have nothing to do with healthy lifestyle. Right? In the real life, the fastest growing things are power drinks, chocolate bars, candy bars, and raw smoked sausages. That's because they have interesting new products. They have the best new things. They're all very tasty. They have great packaging. Whilst in the fish industry, we have the same thing they used to have many years ago: crab steaks, preserves. There are no new things in the fish industry. For the past 15 years, new things that have emerged, we have chilled meat right now everywhere, not just frozen meat. We have forgotten about frozen meat. Now let me show you a few pictures. The things that I've mentioned. Have a look at the growth rates. Frozen seafood, sushi and rolls, they are growing fast, whilst fish overall has dropped 0.5%, stagnating actually. Now you see the fine foods here. Look how they are growing. We don't have this poor market, low-income market. That's what we are see happening. Magnet and Petorechka cheap food stores, they failed on steak promotion, but other than that, they have grown. You see that power drinks have grown 37% year on year. And we cannot see any correlation between the price and the growth rate. Raw smoked fish have grown, whilst semi-smoked have dropped. But neither of them are cheap products. That's what happens with the new things. Now, it's great that I have my presentation on right now, because these are the slides I needed. Pre-cooked meals are growing. Ready-to-cook things that have had no new products are growing. And if we look at the top side of the list, that's what my 18-year-old daughter eats. That's what she eats when she comes to her college. I like the things that are in the low part and the things. Again, the fastest growing are the products chosen by youngsters. We have made a survey and we have confirmed our hypothesis that the fastest growing products are the ones selected by young people, whilst those that are decreasing are the ones chosen by older population. Sushi and rolls are chosen by youngsters. They do not even notice frozen fish. These are the choices made by dinosaurs, the older population. Price influences consumption, but not very much. New things are important, and again, the choices made by the younger population will be growing, whilst the young people are living with their parents. They still have that fridge. When they start living alone, they won't be buying frozen fish. They won't be defrosting it or cooking it. These are the products that have created their own categories. These are the new power drinks, new products. That's what the fish industry have done. All the things are very good, they're tasty, but nothing new. I have tried all of this. The packages are great, but again, I've seen them all. These are what the market wants from the fish industry. First, I do not mean that price does not influence the market. There is a segment that needs of lots of food for a small amount of money. I was among the founders of this brand. Do you think this is meat? No, I just know the truth. I was among the founders, and I know that it's not a very healthy thing to eat. But that's a product that population needs. There is no such product in the fish industry. Ready-to-cook products would be very popular. Again, chilled meat has created great demand because an exhausted woman comes home from work and she needs to cook up a dinner to feed her family. She needs to make it quick. When she takes this, in 20 minutes the family has meatballs. Are there any such products that can be cooked as fast from fish? If we take pollock, it means that we have to start defrosting it from the morning. Ready to eat and ready to go products are. This new generation is actually a snack generation. They need things to eat quickly. I do not know any such products with fish. I have been involved in advertising, marketing, packaging, things like that. This is a bad thing, but it is among the top in the sausages market because the child is the one who has their say in the family budget, in the family food budget. Do you have any good fish products for children? It has to be affordable and easy to cook. When a child doesn't want something, the whole family will not be eating it. It is by far the most important person to choose. This is one of the main problems in the fish industry is the range of products. Russians love fish because this industry has not been in line with the market for many years.
You know, people love fish, so we are ready, and we made some products that would help to processors, to producers. And you can actually download this presentation. These are good products. They are cheap. I understand that there are no transnational companies with great budgets in the fishery, but there are analysis of new things made by competitors, brief overviews of what your company, how your company looks like compared to others, and whether your advertising is efficient, and without advertising you cannot go nowhere. 7 minutes actually were not done, but I tried to do my best. Thank you so much. I'd like to say that this is great not to have meat producers here, otherwise there will be a battle. Leonid also always has great presentations, and he puts this problem very directly, very straightforwardly, and this makes us to take a different perspective to this problem. And despite the great packaging, despite great brands, we need to think over some new products, and maybe not for 99 rubles, but still we need to search for that. Igor Evgenievich, this disastrous Armageddon story was given to us. How do you see this story and the federal chain suppliers? What is the attitude here? What is your role of the biggest association? Few words. 7 minutes. Few words in 7 minutes, okay? Right, because after such a vivid speech report, it is very difficult to provide my analysis. We have actually different perspective here, but not for 100%. You said that we need some tasty things, and no matter how they cost, but the child will make their parents to buy it. I will not disagree with that, but our average check that we see shows a different thing. We were told that cheap fish is not needed, but we don't say that we need to provide cheap fish. We don't speak about cheap, we speak about affordable fish product, affordable for different categories of populations, and they enter in different formats of retail market. We see clearly well that a buyer buys some diet he's used to. To make this diet, we need to follow the promotion of fish products, and retail sees the lack of tools and mechanisms to promote fish products. From this standpoint, we see that a consumer, one generation is used to fish products, and this is not a sea product. And from the other hand, they say a frozen chicken or bananas, how do they correlate from the price standpoint with the fish? Whether it is frozen, fresh, sushi, rice, or something. These are different options and other different elements to compare with. I'd like to put emphasis on some basic things. This is our prism of the federal retailing trade, and we take fish product and fish as it is as one of our products. Sergei mentioned wine. Great idea. We are in the same process. We're on the same way. There was a great showstop of the year on the fish. If you need our participation in 2024, we will launch this program, and we will show other figures, not 200 tons for 10 people in these days, but we implemented 20 tons per person in some days. This is a different story. Do we need new products? Yes, of course. What kind of products do we need? Do we focus on the young people? Not only. Let's take the demography. Do we feed only young people? No, we feed everyone, everyone from the consumers. Those who come to the X5, to Auchan, to Dixie, to Red and White shop, and also for those who come to the Vkusville shop to buy oysters. And all federal chain shops work as discounters, as super discounters, and also mega discounters. And we see clearly well how our consumer chooses this feature of a saver. They do not save actually, but they distribute their budget rationally, and they make it on different categories. The fish is underestimated because fish is not so promoted in the way it should be. So I do agree that we need to have the support of budget and financial resources, not only to have support of marketing resources, not only to have the support of the stores. But there is another thing here. We have the food catch and also the food processing. We have also the sales. So we take it as if it was one thing, one general thing. We put it in one basket. The governor of Kamchatka Ruzhin has just said there is no conflict between internal market and the export, but we say that it exists. It is not a conflict. We have these volumes, but they are incomparable with the volumes taken from the export market. We don't say that there is a lack here in the volume. We, as a federal retail, we are not in the priority. We say we need 100 tons, okay? Just let's take this figure. And they say, no, we have order on 1,000 tons. So you will have your 100 after something is left from this 1,000. So this is not a hype. And we say, okay, give it when you have it, and please build your supply policy then. But the fish is a very delicate product. You have caught fish and you should eat it, whether it is a healthy lifestyle or not. Who transports fish? How to transport it? How to cut it? Where to store? Okay, it was brought to the processing center. What shall we do with this? We need refrigerators. We need to have warehouses. We need to have a huge amount of people working. And we do all of this, and we say that every consumer that we have should love fish. This is not an imperative. And when fish comes to the shop, how to defrost it, how to preserve it, how to maintain its quality. And of course, these are great costs that feel all of this pressure. Pressure felt also by processors and by catchers. Equipment. What equipment do you have? It is similar to yours, not from the technological standpoint, but from the sources of purchasing. The same people serve it. There is also the pressure of currency rates. This is our price, and it is all put in the price. We need to actually convey it to the customer. We are not fighting in here. This was the last point, actually. A year and a half ago, we announced a great initiative. The biggest federal chain stores took the obligation voluntarily not to increase price for socially important products. The markups on the fish, and this is a socially important product, is 5 to 10%. So, as a result, the Rosstat agency and the FAS agency, they constated that the increase of pricing for fish and the increase for the consumer, we as a trade actually holding this increase. We have in minus 30% and the fish producers minus 17%. So we find ourselves in the very same trend. The demand or need with fish should be well supported. And what specificity do we have? Our price for pollock, for Thaga in rubles is less than 133, but decrease in purchasing is for 17%. But we understand that there is a responsibility and there is a last mile for the consumer. We do understand our social responsibility that should be borne by someone to us. This is a burden. Yeah. So these are our efforts, but we need to have support for those efforts. We need to have the consolidation, and we want our customer not to choose in between fish or meat, but to understand what's the difference in between them, and not to replace egg with fish or fish with eggs. So they should have a clear paradigm in their heads, and it starts with the family or with the chain stores or with some other informational sources. Thank you. Thank you.
Igor, thank you very much for your detailed dialogue, I would call it. Before this session, we had the panel session that was more interactive, talking about the interaction in the supply chain. One of my points was that we had no federal chain stores at that session. I'm sure that self-regulation is the answer, and that would include federal and regional stores and retailers. Only by having a common dialogue can we find solutions for providing quality, affordable products to people. When we are discussing our returns, whilst distributors and producers are trying to find their own place, there would be no solution. we invite all the participants in the supply chain to unite, to start a dialogue, to share their expectations and their realities, and that's this transparent dialogue that will help us find solutions for promoting fish on the market. I am sorry I was unable to give the floor to each and everyone today because we couldn't cover all the questions in this short session. Thanks to all of our speakers. This concludes our main session. Then I would like to spend half an hour to talk about labeling with our experts and probably the audience. If anyone is interested, let's hear this. Dear colleagues, thank you.